There we go. So welcome to the Fundraise Up May webinar. So we will start in a couple minutes.
I've gone ahead and kicked us off with the first question in the chat.
Great.
Saying I'm Julia from Double the Donation, based over here in Atlanta, Georgia.
Great. I will also say that I'm Will. Fundraise Up. Brooklyn, New York. So yeah, feel free to drop your name, your organization, where you're coming from, and you can meet your fellow Fundraise Up customers. Julia, what's the weather like in Atlanta today?
Great question, and it's been very dreary all week. It's raining right now. It's pretty overcast, but luckily I think it's supposed to clear up this weekend for the Memorial Day weekend, which will be nice. I think it's supposed to be sunny.
That's good.
Yep. How about you guys in Brooklyn?
It is like 60, 65 today.
Okay.
We're feeling good. It's perfect. It was in New York, it was like 40 last week, and then this weekend was 92, and then now to 60. So it's just like
all over the map.
Up, down, yeah.
It's crazy.
That's how people get sick, you know?
It's true.
So oh, we got a ton more people rolling in, so keep on rolling in. We'll start in a second. Welcome. Feel free to drop your name and where you're coming from, what organizations you're with in the chat. Oh, and well, here, how about we go ahead and just, well, let's move on to a good question for the chat. And that is, on a scale of 1 to 10, well, how about first just, do you have a company matching program at your organization? Yes or no? Feel free to drop it in the chat. If you have a company matching program, you know, if you are in some way, form, or fashion having your donors' employers match their gifts at your organization.
Hey, Jerry. Hey, Sarah.
Glad you guys are here. And we will start in just a few minutes. Probably we'll give people 2 or 3 more minutes to come on in.
Great to hear from you guys. Hey, Katie. Hey, Wendy.
Yep. And Katie does have a company matching program. Great. Great to hear. And on a scale of 1 to 10, people could put this in there too. On a scale of 1 to 10, how confident or how successful do you feel your company matching system program is doing? Three. Okay.
All right. Room to improve.
Room to improve. 7 from Jerry. Great.
Yes.
Great to hear. We're gonna try to get everyone to 10 today, you know.
Absolutely.
About 1 more minute, we'll wait, and then we'll get this thing started. So we're not, you know, we're keeping your time valuable. And so, yeah, the question right now as people are rolling in is, do you have a matching company matching program? And on a scale of 1 to 10, how successful, how confident do you feel about it?
Great to hear,
Great comment,
Sarah.
Sarah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
we will answer your questions today, and feel free to ask questions in the chat as we talk too.
All right. Well, here, let's go ahead and get started. We'll kick off with some intros. People can still roll in. I guess a couple of housekeeping things as we get started. First off, welcome to Fundraise Up's May webinar. We're super excited to have you guys. We do these webinars for our customers every month, and we're excited for you to be a part of the May one. Two, anytime during the presentation today, if you have a question, feel free to drop it in the chat. We will have a question and answer time at the end where we can address all those. You know, at it, who knows, maybe as you're asking the question in the chat, that's the next thing to come up on the slide. So we might answer it during the presentation, but we'll address them all at the end as well. So please light the chat up, and we love to see all of those questions. So I'll go ahead and get started. My name is Will Pope. I am on our partnerships team here at Fundraise Up. And one of the benefits, one of the awesome parts about working on the partnerships team is I get to work with our awesome partners. And one of our favorite partners here at Fundraise Up is Double the Donation. I have brought on the partnership manager for Double the Donation, Julia Beltran, who today will be showing off exactly what Double the Donation is. You might have seen it before in our dashboard, you might have heard of it, but we're gonna go through the ins and outs of why Double the Donation is great for your organization, what it is, how it can help. So yeah, it's a quick intro to Double the Donation today. And if you've never heard of them, what they are is a platform to help automate company matching, employer matching for your organization. That it is a complex process, as I'm sure everyone on this call knows, to do employer matching. And Double the Donation has an amazing solution to help automate that process. And so before I turn it over to Julia, just from our end at Fundraise Up, I want to tell you guys a couple of quick things that we've seen have been super huge benefits for our clients that use Double the Donation. One, about a third of our organizations that are using Fundraise Up also use Double the Donation. So a huge amount of the organizations that use Fundraise Up use Double the Donation. And you can too if you're not using it. Two, matching gifts are free money for your nonprofit. So when a donor gives and their employer has a matching gift program, that's free money for your nonprofit. You just have to know how to collect it. Double the Donation can help there. They make that process very easy because that process is extremely complex. And then finally, if you're already using Fundraise Up, which all of you guys are, we have a direct integration with their product 360 Match Pro, which is their solution to help automate this process. The direct integration is super easy to turn on. And if you're not already using Double the Donation's 360 Match Pro, our exclusive partnership gives you the ability to create an account in just one click. So it's extremely easy to do, and we can talk about that more and more during this presentation. With that being said, I would like to turn it over to my good friend, Julia Beltran, who will take over.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Will. So I'm going to go ahead and share my screen here for my portion of the presentation. So like Will said, I'm Julia. I'm on the partnerships team here at Double the Donation. So I work with our awesome integration partners like Fundraise Up to help bring matching gift solutions, automation, research, resources to nonprofits like you guys. So hopefully you guys can all see my screen right now. We have today's agenda up on the screen. Does that look good? Yep.
Looks great.
Awesome. Cool. And so kind of diving right into our agenda for today. First, I want to start with a little bit of a matching gift industry review. So while I am going to talk about our specific integration with Fundraise Up, I think having the industry review will really give a lot of context and information that can kind of really inform you to know exactly why our integration works the way it does. Matching gifts are kind of simple at the surface, but they're a little bit more complex once you dig in. And so really understanding how the industry works, what opportunities are out there, makes it really easy to see then kind of the next steps to harness matching gifts, right? And so of course, then in the second portion of the presentation, I'm going to be talking a little bit to the products themselves. So double the donation solution is called 360 Match Pro. So if you hear me reference 360 Match Pro throughout the presentation, that's what I'm referring to, the product that integrates directly with Fundraise app. And then, like Will said also, we're happy to answer any questions you guys may have. Definitely please feel free to put them in the chat bar and we'll get to them at the end of the presentation. And of course, too, if you think of any questions after the presentation as well, we're always available to make sure you guys have all the resources you need. So don't hesitate to reach out to us. And so then just really quick, kind of before I do dive into that industry review I mentioned, I do want to give a little bit of context on the DTD and Fundraise Up relationship. I know we've been partnered for a little while now. And so like we said, through that partnership, Double the Donation is a third-party organization that's able to offer matching gift services to Fundraise Up clients. So I'm pretty sure everyone on this call right now, is familiar with Fundraise Up and works with their high converting impressive platform. And so through this partnership, you're able to add matching gift functionality to the list of Fundraise Up value adds. So just to kind of summarize that, Double the Donation is a third-party organization providing matching gift tools that can be integrated into Fundraise Up to earn more matching gifts. And so I'll show you kind of that whole process later from soup to nut, but that's a little bit of context there. And so diving into our matching gift industry review, I'm going to zoom out and start with the kind of obvious question, right, of what are matching gifts? And matching gifts are, of course, this form of corporate philanthropy in which corporations match the contributions of their employees, right? So there's tons of different types of corporate philanthropy, and they're all really valuable. But matching gifts are one of the greatest and also easiest to pursue. They're really rampant everywhere. There's tons of matching gift programs, and it's really, they have kind of this similar structure that a lot of them follow, making it really easy that once you nail down your matching gift strategy, you can apply it to a lot of different donors. And so whether you're just kind of like dipping your toe into corporate philanthropy, or maybe you're this seasoned expert, either way, it's really valuable to have a matching gift strategy because it's just free money in your pocket from these programs. And so now we know, about general matching gifts, but I want to kind of dive into the specifics. And that starts with matching gift parameters. So while every single program has kind of the same general bones, the same general structure, they do have their own guidelines that donors and nonprofits need to follow to be able to actually secure matching gifts. And so it's kind of a simple concept as a whole, but there are some different nuances that can change from company program to company program. So I've listed some of the most common ones on the screen here. And the first one you can see is organization eligibility. And so by that, I mean that not all companies match donations to all nonprofits. So for example, maybe strictly political organizations can sometimes be ineligible to receive corporate funds. On the flip side of that, some corporations will actually match donations at a higher ratio to nonprofits that they maybe have a closer connection with. So the matching gift programs that your organization qualifies for really just depend on the corporation that actually runs the program itself. It's not necessarily this universal standard of eligibility. With that being said, we do see most nonprofits qualify for the majority of matching gift programs, but the qualifications can vary from program to program. Next component to discuss is the matching gift ratio. And so that's because not all matching gift programs offer exact matches. We kind of think of matching gifts, right? Obviously, as that one-to-one gift, that's what a match would be. But many companies do match at a 2-to-1 ratio, even a 0.5-to-1 ratio, just depending on their guidelines. And some of them will actually even triple an employee's donation if they have a really robust program. And some can even actually make the match ratio vary depending on the donor's employment status. So maybe they'll match all gifts to current employees, and then they'll match at like 0.5-to-1 rate for retired employees and part-time employees, something like that. And that, of course, ties right into our third item we have here, which is employee eligibility. So some companies will only match gifts to full-time employees, but that's actually becoming more and more rare as we see companies' corporate philanthropy programs improve. So most companies will also match part-time employees' donations, as well as from full-time employees. And then kind of those top, like bigger programs will also match for retirees and sometimes even spouses of current or retired employees. So definitely important to think about that when you think about your donor base, that just because you maybe have a donor who's not match eligible, that doesn't mean that they don't somehow qualify for a match, even if it's through maybe, a previous employer that they've retired from or through their spouse. And then number 4, we have gift amount. So every program does set a maximum and minimum donation amount that they're able to match. And so This parameter probably varies the most widely from program to program, but I will say most minimums we see are between about $1 and $100. The most common minimum coming in around 25, I would say. And then maximums typically ranging between 1,000 to 15,000, with most average size companies coming in around $10,000 as their match amount. So it can be pretty significant gifts, right? It can be like these major $10,000 gifts coming in that could be eligible for a match depending on what program, what corporation is running the program. And then number 5, and this is probably one of the most important ones we have here, and that is program deadlines. So there's always some kind of expiration date for matching gift requests. We see many companies giving their employee about a year after the donation to submit their gift to be matched. And other companies will actually set specific dates, often around the end of the calendar year, tax season, something like that. And so really all that to say, so as you think about matching gifts for your organization, it's important to remember that these programs are not all exactly the same. And therefore your donors are having to navigate really different parameters when requesting a match. So kind of later on, we'll get into the best practices of how to account to these parameters, but just important to remember that it's not always simple as just asking your donors to submit a matching gift request and assuming that they know how to navigate all of these kind of complicated guidelines that their employer might be setting for them. And so now I have some great news, and that is that matching gift opportunities are everywhere. So we see well over half of Fortune 500 companies offering matching gift programs. And that, of course, means that millions and millions of individuals qualify for matches from their employer. And that's not even really to mention, all of the companies who maybe are not Fortune 500 listed that still offer these programs. I mean, there's organizations of all different sizes that will offer matches to their employees. And so that, of course, means that if you have donors who work for any one of these organizations, then their donations could very easily be doubled. And as we know, sometimes maybe even tripled, without actually asking these donors for any more of their own dollars. And so these donors are not reaching back into their wallets, but they're making their contribution go twice as far for your engagement. And I think it's important to note here too, that matching gifts are not necessarily industry specific. I think sometimes it can be kind of easy to assume because of how a lot of corporations market their philanthropy programs. It's easy to assume that only outwardly advertising social good style organizations offer matching gift programs, but it's not like you have to be B Corp certified or like outwardly philanthropic to offer a program like this. I pulled a bunch of different companies just kind of from our database to see, who offers matching gift programs, and it's really across all different industries. So we have, of course, food and beverage, tech companies, banking, really just all different organizations offering matching gifts. And so when you think about your fundraising plans, make sure you're not excluding certain donors, maybe because you don't associate an organization with a particular charity or cause. They could still very well qualify for a matching gift program from their employer across all different industries and areas. And so now, despite the fact that this is this huge industry and has ever improving programs, we see organizations consistently missing out on employer matching gifts. And so by that, I mean they're missing out on billions of dollars. So we see $4 to $7 billion in matching gift revenue go completely unclaimed each year. By that, I mean that we know corporations are offering these funds, and we know donors obviously are making donations. You guys probably know that better than anyone, but no one's actually tying those donations back to the corporate entities that might match the gift. And so when you think about that, in regards to your organization, I know it can be a bit shocking to think about how these programs are designed for nonprofits like you guys, but you might be missing out on that cash. So of course, obvious question is why the discrepancy? Why is there this huge amount of matching gift revenue going unclaimed each year? And the reason for that is that if a donor wants their gift matched, then of course they have to submit a matching gift request to their employer. So meaning if we go through the steps, the donor would make a contribution, they'd submit their request to their employer and tell them, the donation amount, give them proof of purchase. And then they would have to get that request approved. And then that company would be able to actually issue the payment to your organization. And so it's really that second step that I have outlined here is where the issue lies, where we see kind of the process going awry, is that donors are not submitting their matching gift requests for your organization. And it's hard because a lot of these programs, pretty much all of them, require some kind of donor verification to be able to actually submit that match. They don't let the nonprofit receiving the funds be the one to approve it or something like that. They really want that donor to be able to verify that they're the one submitting the match. And what we really see here is that donors aren't submitting their matching gift requests because they don't know about their matching gift program. We see close to 80% of match eligible donors completely unaware that their employer offers a matching gift program. And as we know, if that's the case, then they are certainly not navigating all of those parameters that I mentioned earlier if they don't even know that their program exists. And so that actually leaves only 7% of match eligible donors actually submitting their matching gift request. So that means really this lack of donor action here is actually a lack of awareness. And kind of like I was just saying, even if your donors maybe know that their matching gift program exists, maybe they've heard of it, they very well might not understand those steps that they have to take to actually pursue their matching gift request. And I think that makes a lot of sense when you think about it. Like a lot of people outside of the fundraising industry really are not thinking about corporate philanthropy the way that maybe we are when we're deep in the tech of it, deep in the actual fundraising process. The average layperson really isn't thinking about how their employer could contribute to the nonprofit causes that they care about. And so it's really that donors don't even know that this is an option. It's not that they don't want to submit their requests themselves. And this idea that donors want to submit a matching gift request, but maybe don't know how, is really exemplified through a lot of the research we do at Double the Donation. So if you look at some of these statistics I have here, you'll see that donors are more likely to donate if their gifts are matched. They're more likely to donate, or they're more likely to respond to fundraising appeals mentioning matching. And they're actually willing to give an even higher initial base donation amount if they know that their gift's going to be matched. And so, of course, when you think about this, this makes a lot of sense, right? You know that your donors are people who they care about your mission, they want to help your cause, they were willing to give their own money in the first place towards your nonprofit. So, of course, they feel happy knowing that they can double their donation at no extra cost to them. So that really means, if donors want to submit requests and they just don't know about them, then the main problem we really need to solve here is what we call the donor awareness gap. So donors don't know about matching gift programs, but if they were just educated about gift matching, then they consistently show that they will take action. And so now you know a lot more about the matching gift industry, so you can kind of dive into more of the specifics and just how you can capitalize on this fundraising programs with Fundraise Up and 360 Match Pro. So how our integration works is it's designed to solve a lot of the roadblocks that I just shared with you guys. So if we go through the flow, we'll see that first a donor makes a gift on their Fundraise Up donation form, and they can identify their corporate match eligibility on the form. And I'll show you just how that works in a moment here. So once the donor identifies themselves as match eligible, that's super helpful, right? Because we at Double the Donation can then see what are their program parameters that I ran through before. We can understand what their minimums and maximums are. We can understand, when their program deadlines are, things like that, so that you don't have to do any of that research on your own. Next, 360 Match Pro works with Fundraise Up to provide a matching gift upsell, which is a really neat feature. And so that just kind of allows the donor to understand what their matching gift minimum is to ensure that they're meeting it if they want to submit a matching gift request, right? Because what we don't want to do is have donors fall below their matching gift minimum amount and not qualify, when if they were only educated about matching gifts, they'd be willing to bump up their donation. And then step 3, we have 360 Match Pro sends matching gift information to donors, either giving them next steps to submit their matching gift request or working to ensure that we know their eligibility if we don't know it already. And then number 4, 360 Match Pro delivers actionable analytics back to your organization. So it provides a dashboard allowing you to see a ton of information about both aggregated matching gift data surrounding a lot of your donors and even individualized donor data that goes along for individual one-by-one donors. So that's a really high level flow. And now I'm going to kind of dive into each one of these specifics and kind of crack them open a little bit more. Before I do that, I do want to give a quick shout out to one of our featured clients, and that's Souls for Souls. So Souls for Souls has been using this integration with 360 Match Pro and Fundraise Up. They've seen a lot of success, which is, sorry, I'm moving my slides here, which is really exciting. And so I actually pulled some information from our recent joint case study, which I think Will might be dropping in the chat now. And so we've really appreciated Souls for Souls, being excited to do this case study with us. And through this integration, they've identified tens of thousands of dollars. So in just 2021 alone, they've identified over 36,000 in matching gift revenue, which is super exciting. They've also, they've identified these dollars using our matching gift messaging, which has an incredibly high open rate for them, as you can see. It's about double the industry average. And then they also see over half of their donors interacting with their matching gift search tool and email provided information. And if you've ever worked in any kind of donor engagement role, that you know that that's really awesome to see over half of your donors interacting with some of the tools you're sending out. And of course, you can also see on the screen here, their CMO gave us a quote just speaking to their success of the integration, which is really exciting. And so now happy to dive into kind of the more specifics of our integration and just how it works. So first we have the giving form component that I just alluded to, right? So you can see here I have a screenshot of a Fundraise Up donation form widget. I'm sure you guys are all very familiar with that. But this widget has a matching gift section, kind of prompting the donor to enter the name of their employer. So as the donor types in a search field like this tool is really cool because it starts to provide suggestions for what the donor should select. And while that might seem like, okay, cool, like any other search bar that you see online, right? What's really neat about this is several things. One is that if you've ever worked in data reconciliation, you know that if the donor is selecting this suggestion that's appearing, that now you have a clearly defined company naming variation for all of your companies. So gone are the days of you having Home Depot, the Depot variations in your database. Using this search tool, you can actually have the same naming variations and consistencies across tens of thousands of companies. Another cool thing about this search bar is that it's taking into account parent companies and subsidiaries. So let's just say, for example, that you have a donor who works for ESPN. ESPN is owned by the Walt Disney Corporation, and the Walt Disney Corporation manages their matching gift program. It facilitates the corporate philanthropy initiatives of ESPN. So that means that someone working for ESPN actually needs the Walt Disney's matching gift submission forms following the donation. And this search bar is able to account for that. So even if someone enters ESPN, the tool is smart enough to recognize that the Walt Disney Corporation is actually the organization that that donor needs to follow up with to get their matching gift request. Another cool thing about this is that it does take into account spelling errors. So similar with that kind of like data reconciliation piece before, you ever had like a donor have a really unusual spelling variation or maybe a typo that you're just not exactly sure how that happened? This makes sure to account for things like that. So even if they're spelling something wrong, it's going to map them to the correct matching gift company following the donation and store that information really easily for you guys. So really this just maintains a streamlined process during the actual donation process itself while identifying matching gift eligibility. So not only are you able to find, of course, where your donors are working, you're going to be able to have a plethora of matching gift information about these specific donors. And so then going into the upsell feature that I mentioned before, this is actually a unique feature to Fundraise Up, which is really exciting. So this is something exclusively offered through their platform. And how it works is that the 360 Match Pro tool will flag any donations below the specified program's minimum requirements. So I know we talked a little bit about the parameters earlier, right? So let's just say that I work for the Home Depot and I wanted to give a $15 gift. And I went through the donation process and I have no idea that I have a matching gift program because I'm like most donors, right? I'm not aware of my employer's matching gift program. 360 Match Pro and Fundraise Up will flag this donation and actually encourage the donor to upsell to be able to meet their matching gift minimum. So not only will this prompt the donor to increase their gift by several more dollars to meet their minimum, but it also ensures that you get more donors qualifying for a matching gift request, right? So that's super exciting because what kind of happens sometimes, unfortunately, is that donors go through the donation process. They're not aware of their matching gift program and they're falling below their minimum, sometimes even by a couple dollars. Like you see like on the screen here, this example of Home Depot matching donations of $20 or more. You could have a ton of $15 donors working for the Home Depot that could have made their gift $40 after the match, right? But they just didn't know that that was an option for them. So this upsell feature is really, getting greater base donations and also leading to more actual matches being submitted from the donation process itself, which is really exciting. And then number 3 we have on here is the automated emails. So now we kind of have the first 2 components, right? We know where your donors work, what programs they qualify for. We know that they're hopefully going to meet their upsell requirements. They're meeting their minimum matching gift amount. Now we need to actually give them a next step, right? We need to give them a call to action. And so how we do that is that Double the Donation sends out matching gift emails that contain a direct link to your employer's specific matching gift request form. This is really significant because without our tool, it can be really difficult for you to give donors a call to action that's as specific as this, right? Because even if maybe Microsoft has a matching gift program, but if you're telling your donors to, take their next step, that can be really hard for you to tell them to dig around for their matching gift submission form. With 360 Match Pro, we're giving them that link right away. So that means they can kick off the matching gift request process with just one click from their email itself. And these emails are customizable with double the donation. Something else really cool about them is it gives you a little bit more space to kind of speak to matching gift requests, right? So we have that like donation form piece, but we don't want to distract the donor during the donation process. So it gives you a lot more real estate to be able to do that in the matching gift emails. Final thing I'll say about them as well is that let's say you have a donor who's like flying through the donation process, right? And maybe they don't enter their employer on the donation form itself. You can send out a matching gift email to identify that donor as match eligible, which is really cool. So even if they didn't enter their employer name on the donation form, they can do that through the automated email streams. And all of that is reported within 360 Match Pro. And that's kind of what I have on this slide here. All donors are filling out matching gift, or all donors are able to access their matching gift request forms, whether they're doing that on the donation form or through the automated emails, they have that extra touch point. And then finally, I've alluded a little bit to this throughout the presentation, but 360 Match Pro does offer a matching gift portal, a dashboard for nonprofits to log into and see a ton of different information. So that might include aggregated data, like some of the information I showed about our case study candidate, right? So like how many matches are identified, how are people interacting with matching gift emails, things like that. And then it can also show individualized donor records. So you can see, Jane Smith works for the Home Depot and she got her gift matched of $100. She initiated her match process, interacted with her matching gift emails, something like that. And so now I'm going to go ahead and show you guys an example of this in action. Give me 1 moment here to pull this up. I apologize. I have a lot of tabs for you guys. All right, cool. Here's the first one. So this is going to be a Fundraise app and 360 Match Pro demo on the donation form. So this is our mock organization, the Cat Rescue Club that we use for all of our demos here at Double the Donation. And so I'm going to go through this process as a donor. And you'll see here that this is probably a process you guys are all really familiar with, right? If you use the Fundraise Up platform, you've seen this before. So I'm just going to keep my one-time gift for the purpose of this demo and go through my credit card process. And you can see here that really outside of the actual matching gift search field that's coming up momentarily, not a lot about the donation process changes, right? Fundraise Up has really optimized the donation process here. And so we don't really touch a lot of that process outside of getting the actual matching gift information on that search tool screen. So my donor will go through this process and then she'll get to here, like I said, the matching gift screen. So this is that search field that I talked about just a moment ago. And we can see Jenny type in the name of her employer and that drop down list appear here, right? And you'll notice that right now I have 2 E's in home and I'm still seeing the Home Depot up here, which is awesome. So I had a typo, it still worked. I can maybe do the depot, like maybe I have like kind of a fun nickname for my employer and I'm still able to get the Home Depot come up here. And then even some of those spelling variations, like I mentioned before, I have ESPN, the Walt Disney Corporation, of course, appears because that's the parent company that manages the matching gift program. And it's awesome because then your donor is going through this process and they're like, oh, yes, I know my company, ESPN, is owned by Walt Disney, so that makes sense to them. And so for my example right now, I'm just going to go ahead and do the Home Depot. Like I said before, I am based in Atlanta, Georgia. I do a lot of Atlanta-based organizations in my examples. And so now I will see the matching gift upsell here, right? The Home Depot only matches donations of 25 or more. Please consider increasing your donation to 27 because that's with the fee that I opted in to pay, right? To make sure we receive $54 in total, which is a great strategy because not only am I like, oh, this is really not much more than my initial gift, but also now I'm able to conceptualize it as the donor that with this matched gift, $54 is a pretty significant amount compared to my initial $15 gift that I was going to give in the first place. And so not only, like I said, are you increasing those base donations, but also even increasing those matches. It's a huge revenue add for your organization.
And
so
we've seen on this alone, we've seen about 35% of people agree. and will go ahead and do it. And that results in a 93% increase in the initial gift. So that's a lot of donations for you.
It's pretty significant. 93% is a much higher amount, which is crazy. That's
Yeah.
awesome. Yeah, absolutely. And so I'm going to go ahead and accept the upsell. I'm going to be part of that category, of course, to be able to actually get my matching gift fund and be eligible as the donor here. So now I've gone through this matching gift process, and I'm going to go ahead and show you guys kind of what that looks like from a matching gift email perspective. So here's an example of a matching gift email. And you can see here it says, "Dear Jenny, we're excited to let you know that your donation of $100 is eligible for a matching gift from the Home Depot." So from here, the donor could click this link and they're taken to the Home Depot's matching gift request form. So that's really the value add I talked about before. How would you ever, without this automation, be able to tell your individual donor, hey, here's the direct link to your matching gift request form. This is how you kick off the matching gift process to double your donations. And these emails also contain a wealth of other information. You can see, it kind of explains the matching gift process. It allows your donor to submit a button indicating they've submitted their match, so they can tell you that that's something that they took action on. And you can even see a summary of the matching gift program details and guidelines within this email as well. So all of that sent directly to your donors. And it's really cool because 360 Match Pro is tracking all interactions with this email. So like, for example, when I clicked here to start the matching gift submission process, the tool is able to tell that that donor initiated the matching gift process, even if they didn't necessarily click this kind of verification button below. All of the actions that they're taking, even whether they're opening the email, is being tracked and recorded within 360 Match Pro. So kind of speaking of the 360 Match Pro dashboard, I'll show you guys an example of one here. So this is something that you as the nonprofit would have access to, right? We kind of went through the donor-facing process on the donation form, the donor-facing process in the emails, and now we're in kind of the back-end process for the nonprofits to check in on their matching gift information. And so we can kind of walk through some of the stats shown here, see the matches identified in the past year by the solution, seeing the number of donors opening the emails we're sending out, and even kind of some more specific stats about engagement rates, the breakdown of match identified dollars by month, which can be really helpful if you guys do any kind of like end of year Giving Tuesday type pushes, which I'm sure a lot of people here too, maybe some kind of spring giving day, something like that. You want to see really how your matches break down during different points of the year, you can. And then one of my favorite data points here is the top companies selected by donors in the past year, because this can give you a lot of insight about your donors, both as it relates to matching gifts and even beyond. So if I have any like corporate partnership people in the presentation room right now, you can see how valuable this would be, right? If you have a huge percentage of your donors working for one organization, that's a really good value add that you should probably know about your organization and about your donors. So really cool insights here you can access just on the front page of this dashboard. And then if I go into the actual donations tab itself, you'll see some of those individual donor records that I mentioned before. So for example, we have Jenny Taylor here. That was that gift I just made, right? And it came in at that $27 amount. You can see that Jenny works for the Home Depot. Something really cool here, you can see that I keep using Jenny Taylor's email and I have those kind of email records come up. So this is actually tagged as a do not email stream, which kind of shows the customization of our tool, that Jenny is marked as do not email because she's a recurring donor and we don't want to like spam donors with too many messages, right? So all of that is customizable in the portal as well. You can see Jenny's matching gift status here. So for this example, we have waiting for donor, which means we've identified the donor as match eligible, but they haven't actually taken any action yet. We also have some examples of like match initiated donors. So that would be the example I just gave when I clicked on the button in the email to initiate my match, and then even a donor verified email. So not only did they initiate the match, but they selected the verification button. And then finally, I'm going to go over this emails tab here. You can see when different donors are opening your matching gift emails. Here's an example of one of those below. You can see when emails are scheduled to be sent. You can see maybe different kind of like blacklisted emails. So if you have like anyone marked as do not email in your system, that's all available to you as well. So really a wealth of information within the 360 Match Pro dashboard. And as you can imagine, that was just kind of me giving the high level, scratching the surface overview. So final thing I kind of want to speak about here is the actual process for getting started, because Fundraise Up kind of has two processes for getting started, just kind of depending on what works best for your organization. So the first one I want to highlight is if you're interested in, maybe talking to someone from Double the Donation to learn more about the platform, getting some customization options, something like that, seeing if you can kind of have customizable pricing, customizable email settings, maybe have a longer onboarding process to really like learn the ins and the outs of the tool. That's one package that we have. And then we have a separate one where you can actually log into your Fundraise Up portal and just go with the like turn it on and get started model. It's a little faster to get started. You can just turn it on with a click. Everything's pre-configured and you kind of kick off the matching gift process from there. And so if that's the route you go with, I'll just kind of show you how to navigate there in your Fundraise Up portal. So you can see I'm in a mock-up Fundraise Up portal right now. Don't think it's ever been used. I don't have any data flowing in here, but I can show you guys that if you navigate to the settings tab of Fundraise Up and then integrations, you're able to see 360 Match Pro by Double the Donation, which I do have configured to this test account, but you would be able to activate this and set it up with kind of that self-starter model if that's the one that you decide to go with. So I know that was a lot of matching gift information, of course, on both the product side, the industry insight side, the Fundraise Up kind of linked integration side. So happy to stop for a moment and take some questions from you guys.
Yeah, thank you so much, Julia. Feel free to ask any questions in the chat. This is the time to do it if anything is burning. I have a couple questions that were submitted beforehand. One, my donors probably work for a million different organizations out there. How do I know they're going to be in the platform? How many companies do you guys have in your database?
That's a great question. We do cover 99.68% of all match eligible donors. So we actually have this really cool real-time analytics page. I'm going to go ahead and drop it in the chat so you guys can check it out. And I can actually pull it up on my screen here as well, maybe. So you can see this is our real-time analytics page. I'm logged into this site here where you can see we have 24,000 company records covering 26 million employees and covering 99.68% of match eligible donors. So for the most part, if you have some match eligible donors in your donor base, we should be able to have that in our matching gift database. And of course, we do have a full-time matching gift specialist team that's actually researching matching gift programs to be ever improving this database, making sure all the company info is up to date, and can add new programs as they get started as well.
That's great. That's great. Okay, so one point you said, this process for every company is totally different. It's very complex. Sometimes it can take a long time for the organizations to actually get that matched gift from the company.
Mm-hmm.
Can you give me a range of, does it take a day? Does it take 5 years? Does it take, I know it's different for every company, but what's kind of a range?
Yeah, that's a great question. So I agree. It is kind of really different depending on the organization. I will say I don't think any of them are as quick as a day. There's always some kind of turnaround time from when your donor submits the matching gift request and when it gets paid out. I would say probably most commonly we see is like the end of quarter, end of calendar year. And we really don't see matches taking longer than a year to be fulfilled. So that would be kind of I would think the longest amount of time before you're waiting to really see those matches come in from the donors. But yes, it can vary from company to company for sure.
And how do those matches come in? Is it like they mail you a check? They reach out to the development director? How is that different too?
Great question. It is different too. Interestingly enough, it is most commonly them mailing you a check or giving some kind of e-check from the actual organization itself to the nonprofit directly. Mm-hmm.
Great. Let me see if I had any more. Why not just do this myself? Why double the donation?
Yeah, that's a great question too. And I think what it really comes down to is time, right? Probably one of your most valuable resources at a nonprofit. I know everybody has a lot on their plates. And so when you think about actually being able to identify the matching gift program for every single one of your donors, that's a huge ask. That's probably impossible, right? To be able to find that from all of your donors coming in. And then not only to be able to find where they work, but then also to be researching matching gift companies which sometimes is gated behind like some sort of login, like you guys saw with the Home Depot example. Like, that's our full-time team that's searching to make sure we get that information and partnering with different corporate vendor partners to get that information. And so it would be very difficult and very time consuming to have to manually enter all of that information for all of your donors, whereas Double the Donation is really automating that process.
I think that's all the questions I have. If anyone has any more questions, this is your last chance. Please put them in the chat. And if not, thank you so much, Julia. Double the Donation has and 360 Match Pro has been humongous for so many of the organizations that use Fundraise Up. I think that it's a partnership that we really love having you guys. It's a win-win for all of our organizations that are using you. Free money coming their way. You've automated the process so well. It's definitely the best tool on the market that we've seen in this realm. So I hope that everyone got a lot out of this. If you are not using 360 Match Pro, please start using it. And thank you so much, Julia. Any final words?
No, thank you. Really appreciate you having me on here, Will. We love working with the Fundraise Up platform. I saw some stuff in the chat. Thank you guys all so much for coming in. Saw some people want to connect with me directly. Happy to reach out to you after the presentation. Appreciate everyone being on here and hope you guys have a great rest of your week.
Yeah, thank you so much. So long.
Thank you, everyone.